No,
That's not your broadcasting style.
That is not. That is not. My partner, yeah.
Who's your partner again?
Tom McCarthy.
Oh, that's right. He's really good.
He is.
You work
He's a Philly play-by-play guy.
Ah.
So he has a good voice.
And you were with him. What game do you have this weekend?
This week is St. Louis with the 49ers.
In San Francisco.
In
So
San
sort of a
Fran.
home game for you up there.
It's a home game. I get to stay home. First time going to Levi Stadium.
Okay. Well, we're going to talk about some marquee games. That's, unfortunately, no offense, not on the top.
I would probably think not.
But you never know. Hey, Monday Night Football, everybody thought that would be an absolute disaster of a game for Washington, that Dallas was going to maul them, and we all know what happened.
That's why you play the games,
That's why you do play
Rich.
the games. So let's talk about the game that Gronk is going to be playing in, Denver and New England. You, as we mentioned at the beginning of the program, were in training camp with Denver, eyeballing that defense because John Fox, was he there when you were a rookie?
No, John came in, as I call him, Johnny.
Johnny, right.
He came in '89.
Okay.
So 2 years into it.
2 years into it. Now, this defense, this is essentially one of the matchups that they built up this defense for in New England. Would you agree with that?
Well, I mean, listen, my wife doesn't really know football.
Okay.
But when she was watching the Super Bowl last year, she's like, they need more defensive players. So I think John Fox and John Elway, I think Jack Del Rio probably lobbied to get him some more playmakers. And DeMarcus Ware is playing lights out. Von Miller, it looked like he believes in that knee again, so he's playing lights out. And they got Talib, who, when he plays his good football, he's one of the best corners in the National Football League. They got T.J. Ward, who's a thumper in the back end, which you always need a thumper in the back end. I mean, that's a good hitter.
Yes.
So I think they did a good job of getting those guys together. It's a good defense.
I think this is one of the hottest stretches that both quarterbacks have come in off of. Saw a stat, 28 touchdowns combined for these two in their last 4 games each and over 2,500 yards. That's 300 yards passing and 4 TDs each game for these guys coming in. So, like you said, defense is going to be key.
This is like the 16th matchup with these guys?
16. Yeah, Brady
like
Manning 16.
Yeah, this is 16.
It's because, the way the schedule works is first place always plays first place. And Indianapolis and New England were in first place more often than not. And even in the years when they didn't finish first place, it worked out where the AFC East was playing the AFC South, or the AFC East was playing the AFC West. It's unbelievable. Like the football gods want this matchup to keep happening over and over. Are you nervous? You nervous, Brock?
Yeah, I kind of am. I'm really curious to see which team kind of dedicates itself to running the football, because both offenses are so hot to keep the other guy off the field. And so, Jonas Gray, if he gets it going for the Patriots, Shane Vereen, Hillman's been great for the Broncos recently. I am kind of nervous.
You like Hillman?
I do. I like him a lot. I think he's one of those back when you start looking around the league, like a Brandon Oliver for the San Diego Chargers, those scat backs who can run in between the tackles. They can run outside. You can line them up outside and catch the football. You're seeing the same thing with the Arizona Cardinals. They got a running back that can do the same type of thing. So I like Ronnie Hillman. I think he's that type of back for the Denver Broncos. For all these young backs in the league, though, they just got to hold on to the football.
Yeah.
I mean, if they hold on to the football, they'll keep playing. If they keep fumbling, they're going to sit aside by the coach.
And the Patriots signed Alan Branch today for their defensive line. I don't know if they do this better than most, but I know about situational football, that they're one of the best. They're like a team that does situational rostering.
Yes.
Where they bring people up from their practice squad or sign them in weeks where they need them more than most, where Belichick is sitting there with his staff. We need defensive linemen.
Well, they've now acquired 3 defensive players in the last week and a half.
Yeah, Ayers.
Yeah, and they made the trade with Tampa yesterday for the linebacker, and now they got Branch. Man.
And Mayo's out. I mean, their best defender.
Right, second year in a row.
The season, they have no Mayo.
What do you think happens in this one, Roger?
First, I think it's going to be a great game. I mean, that's the first thing. You got 2 we all can agree upon, and when these guys get done, they'll be donning a gold jacket in Canton, and Tom Brady and Peyton Manning. And I mean, what Peyton has done has just been incredible. And then Tom, you got to think about, they get blown out, and then Tom says, slow down. Slow down, guys. We're okay. And what do? They go on a 4-game winning streak. He's throwing all these touchdowns, no interceptions.
They moved on to Cincinnati, all right.
So
what do you think happens? Who do you think wins it?
It's going to be a good game. I think,
I'm trying to get you off the fence here.
I'm going to get off the fence here. I got to take my time, though, here. Because I like I like Tom Brady. It's hard to go against Tom Brady because if I had to pick one quarterback in the league right now who's going to give me a fourth quarter drive, it would be Tom Brady.
Mm-hmm.
But man, I just Peyton Manning and those weapons. Demaryius Thomas, that dude is huge.
Yeah.
He's big. Julius Thomas just learned how to play tight end.
Yep.
You got Emmanuel Sanders. You got Wes is still there. You got a nice running game now. Their defense is finally built very similar to the defense I had in Baltimore when we went, when we were so good. So I think Jack Del Rio did that for a reason. It looks very similar, but I think they're a little bit better athletically across the board than we were.
Sounds like you're taking Denver, Rod.
I am.
He
I
just
like
talked
Tom.
himself into
You
it.
did.
I like Tom, but I just like the overall body of work for the Denver Broncos and how they're playing.
Ravens-Steelers, Sunday night football. Rod, you're obviously very intimate with this rivalry. Yeah. What do you think of the Steelers? Glenn, who phoned in and said you were his favorite, and you were kind enough to come out and say hello to him. Wanted to know if the Steelers are going to make the playoffs. I just don't know which Steelers team. I don't know
right.
which
That's
team
it.
this is right now.
That's right. I think that's everybody saying that. Like, who are the Steelers?
Right.
Are they the one that's scoring 51 points, or the one that's giving up 35 points? They don't know right now. I think the good thing is, I think the refreshing thing is to being a Steeler fan, is Todd Haley does have that offense, and he's kind of giving it over to Ben. He likes to be at the line of scrimmage. It's not too many quarterbacks in this league that can do what they're doing.
So you're saying that they have finally gotten into some sort of rhythm after all this time of us wondering if they could ever get in one? That you say
I
they
think
are in
so.
one
And
now?
then plus you got to remember they got a running game now.
Yeah.
Le'Veon Bell is
He's
a
good.
really good back.
He is.
And then I think for the Steelers, if the defense can do its part, they're going to be okay. But when it's because everybody talks about Dick LeBeau, is he too old? Should he be done with? The system works. The players have to make plays.
Well, they uncorked some vintage LeBeau, some Eau de LeBeau, some Cabernet LeBeau of 05 of vintage
Right.
this past week on
But players make plays.
on Andrew Luck. But the question is also, who are the Ravens? That's the thing that I'm also wondering
Well,
about.
Forsett, though, has kind of slid in there. He's second in the league in yards per rush at 5.5.
Well, are they a running team? Is that who they are? Or is Joe Flacco going to go vertical? Jimmy Smith, who I know that you like his game, he's out for the time being.
But I tell you what, Steve Smith Sr. How do you change your name like that so quick? But
Well,
anyway,
when you've got a son,
yes,
now,
you have
the
you
little
have a
baby
son.
now.
But he's giving him attitude again. Remember, Anquan Bolden gave him the attitude before. Then when he left and went to the 49ers, they had no attitude on offense.
They missed him.
It's amazing.
And he's finally given them some spunk on the offensive side, and I think that's really why they're playing so well.
It's amazing, too, as we just talked about the rivalry with Peyton and Brady. The Flacco and Roethlisberger, they've played 11 times. It's the second most duels between a quarterback after them, Big Ben winning 7 of them. So, obviously they're in a division together where the Patriots and Broncos aren't. But this is pretty much the second best quarterback rivalry going in football right now.
And it's the black and blue division. This is a rivalry predicated on hard-hitting, tough, defensive battles.
Yep.
I almost expect this to be a shootout on Sunday night.
Yeah, I would like to say it wouldn't be a shootout.
It's going to be.
But it's going to be. They're going to put up 28 to 30 points in the game. If you strip the colors, they play very similar. They play tough, gritty football on defense. They're throwing the ball down the field now on offense on both sides of it. They're running the ball decently well. So, I like the way they
game.
play.
This is both coming in at 5-3. Who do you think wins this one?
God.
Yeah.
I plead the fifth. on
Okay.
this one.
Is Troy back?
Is Troy
I'm going to
back,
sit
though?
on the couch and just watch this
You
one.
said earlier that you thought Troy was back. On game tape, on the Colts game, he looked like a young Troy Polamalu. Earlier in the year, there were people saying,
Yeah, he's
is
lost
Troy
his step,
still
that
on the
he was
field?
done.
What's
Well,
Troy still doing
he
on the
still
field?
takes his shots. He just can't take them as much as he used to.
Yeah.
But I think Cortez Allen, he has to show up and play good football for him. He's a young player for them that they gave some money to, that he has to be that guy. I think Mike Mitchell's starting to learn the system better. I think he's starting to make some plays for him on the back end. And Troy, how do you go against that hair?
Yeah, well, listen.
the hair is great.
Look who you're sitting next to on this couch. There and here, okay?
Yes.
So
Yeah.
we plead
is
the fifth.
beautiful,
We
Rich.
plead the fifth as well. And then there's Arizona and Dallas. It's unbelievable, Rod. The latest example of how unpredictable this league is in the NFC right now. Arizona's 1, Detroit is 2. And Detroit's on a bye. Arizona's at 3 in this whole sequencing equation. Dallas. Now, we don't know of Romo's readiness. Let's try and remove that right now. Arizona, you saw him up close. You saw him personal. You saw the Rod Woodson eye test. How good is this 6-1 team, do you think?
I like them. Whoever went to Vegas and said the Lions,
Yes.
Arizona, and Dallas were going to be leading or be contenders is winning a lot of money right now because nobody thought that these teams would be this good.
That's the clip we have to show? Really?
Yeah, against the
Yes.
Eagles.
Sorry, Wall.
Well, I mean, that right there, though,
But how do you
shows to me that's Arians, right? Arians being aggressive, going vertical. He's got the quarterback that can push the ball down the field.
and
The
that kid,
speedster, Brown, who they found in the middle of the draft.
Pittsburgh State?
And that, instead of just trying to dink and dunk your way, be safe, get the game-tying field goal, go at overtime, put your chances in the overtime basket at home. Instead, they go up top.
Yeah.
And Larry's running down the field like it was the Super Bowl against the Steelers.
And this is his best game. What I said before the game was like, when is he going to have a breakout game?
Yeah.
He has to have a breakout game. He hasn't had that. I mean, Michael Floyd has had those games for him this year, but Larry really hasn't had a breakout game. He had a breakout game this past week. And then when you talk to the coaches about John Brown, they said when you look at him from back, he looks just like Marvin Harrison. He has the same skill set,
Really?
getting in and out of his cuts. Because most guys have to slow down when they run like in cuts or out cuts. They got to slow down and then get out. He said he just right through it. And those type of receivers give DBs a lot of problems. We saw that with the deep ball. How do you let this 3rd and 5 for crying out loud?
Oh, don't get him started.
And the guy, he splits the corner and the safety. I mean, I'm in the booth going, how in the world? Billy Davis was probably going crazy in the booth. Oh. He sits up high like Dom Capers does for the Green Bay Packers defense coordinator.
They're in quarters too, they said, right?
Well, I mean, yeah, somebody got to cover the guy.
Yeah.
Somebody has to stay on top of this guy. I mean, he hit a gear though. He went from 0 to 5, like.
Maybe they also thought that they weren't going to even take that shot. That with a minute 30 to go from their own 20-yard line, they got to just keep dunking it underneath, take what you see.
You have to think, in your mind, you have to think they got to get some chunk yardage. And that's what they did. I mean, he got behind him, and that was a great
Harrison
throw.
comparison is interesting because you brought up the fact that Arians was the OC in Indianapolis before.
Right.
Well,
For Peyton's rookie
When
year.
Peyton first got there, that's right.
And I mean, that's an interesting tie-in. to
And
Bill
he's
Harrison.
he's lined up for Coach of the Year right now, but sustainable. They got to play Seattle twice.
Yep.
They're in a tough division. They got
can
San
beat
Francisco
Seattle.
another time.
They can.
So
I
this
think
is a
they're-
team that could win the
This is a-
NFC. You think?
You got to look at them. Ellington, the running back, is starting to get more touches. The game is starting to go through him. So he's getting like 20 carries, probably 10 or so targets in the receiving core. So he's getting about 30 touches a game, and he's a playmaker. And then I think you start to look at Carson Palmer, and he's throwing the ball like he did in 05 and 06 when he was Cincinnati. His arm looks better, and he has weapons.
And you take a look again. They're at Dallas this
Right.
week. Then they have the Rams at home. Then they also have the Lions. They're basically going to play the teams that are closest to them right now before they visit Seattle.
Right.
This gauntlet of 4 games will tell whether they are NFC contenders or a wild card participant that has a chance to win their division.
And Todd Bowles, the defensive coordinator, should at least get a interview this offseason for a head coaching job because the job he's done the last 2 years and really this year for having all his guys gone is remarkable. He's getting these guys to buy into what he's selling, and he's selling a lot of pressure. That's what he's bringing. He's bringing a pressure package week in and week out.
And he's got some fresh tape thanks to Hazlitt.
Oh, absolutely.
Well, can you
He has a
imagine how
blueprint.
much they're going to bring the house if Romo's back there, even against Brandon Whedon, the
Right.
backup?
Well, you got Patrick Peterson too, and you have Tyrann
Well,
Mathieu.
Peterson might.
Peterson got hurt.
He got
the
dinged up.
concussed.
Oh, he
concussion.
did. So he's
But
not
Gerard
on
Powers
this game.
came in and played well for him. So
Rod Woodson's here in studio. Good football talk. We'll have another one next hour. So stay awake for it, though, Rod.
I'm gonna try. I took
this
a nice.
comfortable.
That nap was nice.
I know. You Hall of Famers can nap before
But
big games.
That's a comfortable couches.
Look out.
Listen, this is how we
might
roll
go to
here.
sleep.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern. On Audience.